decorum intutus est. Da 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 da. Intutus est Dominus fortudinum et precinxit se. Et in infirmavit orbem terra, qui non commovebitur.
Let's go.
Hello! Today is June 25th. I don't know the saint day, but I'll add it in. All the angels and saints, please pray for us. Today, my youngest child, my second child, is my youngest. He's actually 2 today, so I'm really happy that we made it to the 2-year mark. And I guess I just wanted to celebrate that and share it with you guys. Just a few clips of our morning together. And let's see, at 2 years, he's finally weaned off at 23 months. So it's kind of nice to be at the end of that journey, but also a little bit bittersweet because nursing is such a special time, but also very challenging in itself. So at the same time, I'm happy that we had that time, but also a little bit sad that it's over. But children do have to grow up and move on. So yeah, 2 years. 2 years. And also my kids have both now been baptized, and that's what I wanted to talk about, really, because I was watching a podcast for Lilies and Thorns, and it's a podcast of 2 cultural Catholics, kind of like girlfriends hanging out together. And I've always wanted to have that special feeling of having a girlfriend in Catholicism, but I haven't found that yet here ever since I moved to the Bay Area. But someday I'll keep praying for it. I wanted to talk about baptisms because I just had my children baptized last month in May, and my children were ages 4 and almost 2 years old at the time. And I remember from the podcast, they talked about like children baptism and trying to get them baptized as soon as possible. And I had that anxiety for a long time with getting my children baptized. And it wasn't that I didn't want to baptize them sooner. I know as Catholics, we want to baptize our children as soon as possible. But because I am actually in an interfaith marriage, although we are married in the Catholic Church, my husband has still yet to enter into the church. And he had actually been raised with like Baptist Christian mindset, or understanding of the faith. And at least for him, the idea of baptism is really a choice of the person, like a person's individual choice. So I had to pray a lot. I struggled a lot with that, and really just decided to step into the role of wife and be obedient to his feelings and thoughts on that. And I even talked to my spiritual director and had him help me with understanding and navigating that, helping to unpack and understand those feelings, because as Catholics, we want to baptize our children as soon as possible, because you never know what life will happen. Like if they're not baptized, we don't know where they will go. But if they are baptized, and as children, they're still pure, and anything that happens to them, they will go to heaven. But after we had gotten the children baptized, beautiful baptism, it's just like when you see the sacraments unfolding through the eyes of a mother as a parent, it's so incredibly beautiful. And me being a cradle Catholic, I didn't really notice that so much when I was growing up, because when you're like a kid, you don't really notice like how important these kinds of things are, and kind of just going with emotions, just like another checklist, being a cradle Catholic, growing up with the faith. But now seeing again, after having reverted back to the faith, and seeing my children go through it, it's so beautiful to see. And when I went to have a spiritual guidance meeting with my spiritual director again, he told me, he was like, praise be God, your children are baptized now. And I told him, I was like, I wish they had just gotten baptized sooner. And he said, and he told me something that I never would have thought of. And he said it with such grace and such compassion and such love. And I feel like this is how Jesus would have talked to someone. And he would have said, and what my spiritual director said, that maybe Prudence was what I needed to do as a mother and wife to be able to bring my children and husband to the church. And when he said that, I felt such a huge relief and a sense of peace like overcome me. Like I really felt like I was like being embraced by Jesus himself, even though I had felt so much shame and so much anxiety over it. And I just like all of that, like when my spiritual director told me that, I felt such a huge relief, because it is true, being in an interfaith marriage, although we are married in the church, there's a lot of struggles with it. I don't know if I honestly, I haven't heard a lot of talk about interfaith marriage, especially within Catholic circles. A lot of Catholics just end up marrying Catholics, and so they don't have the struggle of interfaith marriage. And a lot of people will just downright say, don't do it, don't marry a non-Catholic. But in my mind, like, how are we supposed to bring other people into the faith especially if they're good people? Like, my husband is a great person. He is more than I could have ever imagined that I would be able to deserve. But God brought him into my life, and now I'm doing my best. We both made our promises to the church that we would raise our children as Catholics, and he's doing that. He's doing that time and time again, over and over again. And I'm just doing my part to be prudent and not jump too far ahead where he feels like he's behind. And he's been keeping up along the way with me. And praise be to God's timing. He's going to be joining OCIA this year. So I think, yeah, with the topic of discussion, yes, infant baptism as soon as possible if we can. But with a lot of discernment and trusting God, we can also see success and grace with his plan through something like my situation. So yeah, that's really what I wanted to share, and I hope that was really helpful. If you have also gone through interfaith marriage or have baptized your children late, I'd love to hear your story, because I know there are reasons why, for better, for worse. And I think in the end, it really is like what my spiritual director had told me. It really is God's plan. His plan sometimes is for us to be prudent as wives, and to just trust in him that he will take care of it. So aside from that, thank you so much. God bless. Have a blessed day.